Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sensitar Fragrance channel. My name is Benjamin and I review fragrances, colognes, perfumes, and all things scent related. So if you want to get the best bang for your buck, save money, learn about fragrances, and just come up with me on a fantastic fragrance journey, you've come to the right place. So today we're going to jump into fragrance oils. Now, I think a lot of my viewers and a lot of people out in the fragrance world don't know the history of fragrance oils. I wanted to introduce that topic a little bit and then introduce some fantastic fragrance oils. Before I introduce the oils, I do want to say I did receive them for review, but of course my opinions are my own. I'm always 100% honest with y'all. But let's talk about oils. What are oils? Where did they come from? And perhaps how can I use them in my fragrance journey? So if you don't know about oils, boy, are you going to learn a lot today. So oils first started, the fragrance world, the fragrance thing. Think about it. When fragrances are first made, they're in a very highly concentrated form. Think of your essential oils and how concentrated they are. And that is how fragrances first started. They mixed those, natural, oils from resins, frankincense, myrrh, all kinds of beautiful things that had high concentrations of oils that they could crush and extract an oil out of them. And so they would, be extremely potent and beautiful. And as things went on, over time we've come to this point where we like to spray, at least in Western perfumery, spray their fragrances. But there's still a large market and perhaps, a 50-50 in the world, who like oils, who like attars and those kinds of things, prefer them and wear them every day as regular part of their fragrance life and their form of expression. So that might be a shocker for us in the Western world if you've never heard that before. So a lot of people like that style. You have to apply very little on your skin, and it tends to last for a very long time. They're a lot easier to transport with you, and you kind of don't have to worry about overspraying, and you kind of don't have to worry about things evaporating as much because it's so small and there's less surface area, there's less opportunity for there to be leaks and those kinds of things. So it's very interesting, very different from a Westerner to, to learn about and experience that old style. And it's probably the same vice versa. If you're in places like the Middle East, you might think it's really strange that somebody sprays their fragrances and really prefers to spray fragrances. So I hope I opened up this topic. There's a lot more history. There's a lot more to learn about with regionalities and cultures and those kinds of things. And of course, agar wood is a big part of that. And again, resins. And of course, there's the whole scene of perfumery with France, which started, with probably, I'm guessing in the 1500s, but of course I could be wrong with that. And they would use, natural oils and very fragrant things, especially lavender, to, make their life more fragrant, to cover up their smells, and kind of the hygiene of the time. It's what was appropriate, and it really started from France for the most part. And that perfumery spread on. So that botanical and floral side of perfumery. But let's jump into these fragrance oils. I'm very happy that I could introduce that to you, and I hope it was educational. I tried to boil it down and simplify it the best I could. Now let's jump into this fragrance house. If you don't know about Zoha, they have their own original creations and their own inspired. Some of these houses, especially Zoha, I don't think it's fair that we just call them a clone house and discredit them as a second-rate fragrance creator. I think that they have some fantastic offerings, both of their own and of clones, and they really wanted to get me introduced to oils because this is another opportunity, and you're going to be amazed at these. So before I even jump into this is about, I think, the 6 mils, and these are about $11, so they're very affordable. And again, you know how long-lasting oils can be. They sent me these, and I just have so much to say about them. The first one I wanted to share with y'all real quick is Calumet. Now this is from the Arabian collection. It has a little bit of a medicinal vibe, and a little bit animalic, a little bit dry, but it's so nice. And I think this is very masculine, and I love the sweet spiciness. That's often a thing in fragrances that's hard for me to enjoy, but there's this blend of natural sweetness with this kind of soft, earthy spiciness that just works, and the animalic vibe. For me, I really do like those kinds of fragrances. I always like those fragrances that remind me of horses or the desert, even though sometimes they're hard to wear. They're not the most versatile, but very nice fragrance, very high quality, and I really do like this one. Kalimat is going to be another one of those fall fragrances, and fall and winter, maybe spring nights, that really is going to fit the job for certain situations. So I have some more of them, but they're, again, I want to introduce that first one because it was kind of Arabian or Middle East inspired. Here are some that are Western inspired oils. This one is Tuscan leather. Now, if you're Middle Eastern, you might be able to appreciate this fragrance, and if you're a Westerner, you probably have heard about this one, or at least the house of Tom Ford. Now, for me, this is a very nice adaptation of, the original. I feel like it's a little bit more fresh, and I feel like it pulls a little bit of that white, clean leather from ombre leather. But I really do enjoy it. It's kind of like a mix of, ombre leather with a little bit of Tuscan leather. So it's a lot more, easy to wear for a lot of people. It's a lot easier to approach. And it doesn't have as much of the raspberry. The raspberry is even drier, and it's a little bit more faint. So I think it's a really nice balance of things. For me, Tuscan leather is a fragrance that I do enjoy, that I really think is artistic, but I find very few situations to wear it. So when I get a decant or an opportunity to have a different take on it for so much cheaper, save tons of money, I really do enjoy this. So y'all probably want to hear about performance. Each one of these is different, of course, but I have some on my hand here. I really do appreciate that each one of these fragrances is strong, but they've made these for Western fragrance lovers a little bit. Often, the Middle Eastern oils or attars that I've experienced are extremely strong, and you have to be careful with how much you put on. With these, it's probably going to be better for Westerners. They're going to swipe their whole hand, put on a little bit more than they should, but these fragrances aren't too strong. And I'm not saying these are too weak or too diluted. I'm saying that they're just right for probably the everyday person who maybe wants to put this fragrance, around their body, maybe around their neck and their arms, and get a little bit exposure without putting too much on their skin. So that's a really interesting thing. I've never encountered oils that were that way, and I might say that these are a little hexagonal and helps you to get a good purchase with your fingers so you can open and close the top. Attention to detail really matters. So this one's Tuscan leather. I was really impressed. All of these that are inspired are actually really close to the original, and one of them here is Leighton. Leighton by Parfums de Marly. Y'all know all about that. That's a fantastic gourmand, almost gourmand take, kind of on the verge of a fresh, mass-appealing fragrances. Kind of coffee-based. I can tell that this fragrance doesn't do well in the high heat. It doesn't smell right here in the high heat. It's already 90. It's going to be picking up to 95 or something very soon. And the heat pulls out a little bit of the medicinal vibe in Leighton, and you can tell here. But overall, I've smelled this indoors, 80s or less, if I can get it that cold or chill. And this one is really close to the original. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. And Leighton, they just did something right. I know it's hyped. I know a lot of people really probably don't like to hear about, hyped fragrances that are very popular. Leighton gets a lot of love and is talked about a lot for a good reason. It's soft, spicy, has a beautiful fresh sweet apple, has a beautiful coffee accord, and kind of has this Western oud thing going on with the dry down. Very nice fragrance. This interpretation of it, if you don't wear Leighton very often, or if it's something that you enjoy and that you just feel like you don't need a whole bottle of, these oils or their interpretation of it might just be what you need. I'm just putting that out there. So the next one I have here is none other than the Green Irish Tweed. This is the one actually I have on my hand today. I'm testing because it does a little bit better in the high heat. So this one is kind of interesting because I'm not the biggest fan of Green Irish Tweed. I don't know if y'all know that. I personally find other vetiver fragrances that are fresh, especially Terre d'Hermès Eau Très Fresh, and Eau Sauvage, especially the EDT or the Cologne, a lot more, something that I appreciate a lot more. Now this Green Irish Tweed has to me a little bit more of the lemon, the green, kind of the foliage, the countryside part of the fragrance seems to be a little bit more playful and a little bit more airy, I guess you could say. I think that this is a more youthful take on Green Irish Tweed. I feel perhaps it's a little bit less formal or a little bit less fancy, but it's still very business appropriate and it's still a very good fragrance. I know I might shock some people or offend some people, but I think that this is an improvement on the DNA. And trust me, I've tested clones like Trace Nuit or Trey Nuit, and this is the best one I've come across so far. And I'm not being paid or encouraged to say that again. This is my honest opinion. This is a really good fragrance. If you like that kind of thing, it's not the most natural if you smell it up close, but in the air, around people, trust me, this smells just as good, if not better, and smells more youthful. So this is their take on Green Irish Tweed, and I don't know, it speaks to me. That's just me, though. The next one is Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. I know that this fragrance, the Extrait version, is a little bit more exclusive, really hard for people to get their hands on. This version, oh, it is wonderful. If you don't know about Baccarat Rouge 540, a lot of people are hyping it and a lot of people love it. It's probably going to become kind of like the new Aventus on the scene. You're getting a cotton candy vibe, you're getting a mint vibe, which plays very well together. And it just has a little bit of this almost cherry-ish cough syrup vibe. All of those things don't sound the best. Cotton candy or candy floss, mint, and a little bit of this interesting cough syrup kind of accord doesn't sound like the most appealing thing. But trust me, it's blended well, it's blended right, and it comes off as this almost musky, transparent sweetness that really works. It has a freshness about it, and it really draws the attention. It's very mass appealing. If you know all about this fragrance, you know about how good this fragrance performs. It might not shout the most, but boy does it last and last and last. That ambergris kind of vibe keeps going on and on and on. This is a very nice fragrance, and I let my mom test this, and she fell in love with it. She had never smelled the original Baccarat Rouge 540, and this Extrait was something she wanted. And trust me, I kind of had to fight her off of this one, so I could test it and review it, and then give it to her as a gift. She really likes this fragrance. If you're a lady out there, and you know how expensive the Extrait version is, $400 or so, and you want to get your hands on something you can carry in your purse, and it's going to smell really similar to it, and smell really good, I encourage y'all to try this one out. Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. A really good job here, Zoha. Really good job. So the last one here is none other than Creed Aventus. I didn't want to share this one first because y'all might click off. Y'all might think this is a generic video. I don't know. Do y'all want to hear more about Creed Aventus? Is it played out? I see Creed commercials all the time, and it's so mainstream and popular now that it almost is kind of like a designer fragrance. Not in how it smells, not in how it performs, but just how it comes across. It's not, to me, it's lost that special factor. And for the price, for niche fragrances, that's a huge part of the game for me, in my opinion. But Creed Aventus here. What do I think about it? I think you're getting like a 2016, maybe early 2017 batch. There's a little bit of smoke in this, not too much. It's more on the fruity side, and it actually smells really close to a Ventus. Again, for some reason, for me and my skin, these oils, in the high heat, they tend to not do the best. But trust me, if you smell this, you know, less than, in a situation that's less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, this fragrance is beautiful. It smells just like a Ventus, and actually reminded me of the strength and the potency of some of the original batches. And I'm not saying that for hype. It has a little bit more density behind it. It has a little bit more of, I don't know, a strength behind the fragrance. Not performance-wise, but y'all know that a Ventus is kind of a masculine fragrance with the oak moss, especially in the older batches and with the smoke in the older batches. This just has a little bit more density to it, and I actually really like that in a Ventus. To me, a Ventus should have a little bit of a heavy feel, or a heavier feel, especially than the batches we have today that are more light and airy and citrusy. And I don't know, this one speaks to me. I don't want to sound like I'm hyping this, but really get your nose on this one. If you really don't want to spend the money for the vintage batches, if you like the vintage batches but always wanted an oil, I think there isn't a Ventus oil out there from Creed, and if you didn't like that one, give this one a try. I was pleasantly surprised and impressed. I really was, and I don't know what else to say about it, what else I could say. I didn't want to go into the individual notes of each one of these fragrances. I'm not sure if I want to do another just video of all these at the same time, or individual reviews. Let me know what you would like on my channel, here at the Scentatar Fragrance channel. Your input, your comments are invaluable, so thank y'all so much for being here today. Let me know if you want individual reviews of each one of these fragrances. Let me know what you think about body oils or fragrance oils. Are they something you like? Do you like the spray, just like a lot of us like to do? Is this your kind of thing? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know if you like Zoha, if you know about them. They just, I think, brought out a new presentation, new bottles and everything, and I'm really impressed with the work they're doing. So let me know in the comments section below what you think. If you wanted an overall rating of all of these fragrances, all of these fragrance oils at once, I would say that they're overall like 80-85% similar. The performance on most of them is about a 6 hours, which for an oil might not seem very much, but again, these are kind of Western style, I think. So 6 hours, maybe 6 to 8 hours on these fragrance oils. The projection was kind of moderate, and the sillage was a little bit softer. And actually, for an oil, I think they tamed them down for a reason. Again, Western people, you might put on too much, or you might not know what you're dealing with, and these are going to help you to, you know, not over apply these. So this has been my thoughts. This has been my review, in my opinion, of these Zoha fragrance oils, inspired fragrances, and I was very happy to be able to review them. Thank y'all so much for being here today. Of course, wear what you love. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a fantastic week, a fantastic day. I'll see ya, and bye.